Hello everyone, and welcome back to UFO Evidence, the channel where we explore the mysteries that lie beyond our world. Today, we're embarking on a truly stellar journey. We're not just looking up at the stars, we're hearing from the very people who have traveled among them. We're diving deep into the astonishing accounts of astronauts who have witnessed unidentified flying objects. These aren't just casual observers. These are pilots, engineers, and scientists. Individuals trained to the highest degree to observe, analyze, and report with absolute precision. Their testimony carries immense weight. So when they report seeing something inexplicable, something that defies conventional understanding, we have to listen. Let's start with a name that many of you will recognize: Gordon Cooper. He was one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, a true pioneer of American spaceflight. Cooper's encounters with unexplained phenomena didn't just happen in space. Even before he joined NASA, while flying an F-86 Saberjet over West Germany in 1951, he and other pilots witnessed a group of metallic saucer-shaped objects flying in formation at incredible speeds. They were unlike any known aircraft, but his most famous account comes from his time at Edwards Air Force Base in 1957. Cooper and his camera crew were filming a new aircraft landing system when a silent, silvery, saucer-like craft descended and landed on a dry lake bed nearby. The crew filmed the object as it sat there, then extended 3 landing legs before taking off vertically at a tremendous speed. Cooper reported the incident, and the film was sent to Washington. What happened to it? According to Cooper, it was never seen or heard from again. He remained convinced until his death that we have been visited by extraterrestrial craft. Next, let's talk about the legendary Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon. During the historic Apollo 11 mission, Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and Michael Collins saw something peculiar outside their command module. Aldrin described it as a light that appeared to be moving alongside them. The crew initially thought it might be the SIVB rocket stage from their launch, but Mission Control confirmed it was over 6,000 miles away. They observed the object through a telescope, and Aldrin described it as L-shaped. They were cautious about reporting it, fearing ridicule or a public panic. What was it? Was it just a piece of debris, a reflection, or something more? Aldrin himself has been diplomatic, but he maintains that it was an unidentified object. The fact that the crew of the most famous space mission in history saw something they couldn't explain is, to say the least, compelling. Let's move on to another compelling case from the Gemini program. On the Gemini 4 mission in 1965, astronaut James McDivitt saw something he still can't explain. While in orbit over Hawaii, he spotted an object he described as white, cylindrical, with a prominent arm or antenna sticking out of it. He grabbed his camera and took some pictures, but by the time he got a good focus, the object was almost out of sight, and sunlight was glaring into the lens. NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, couldn't identify any satellites in the area that matched the description. The Air Force's official investigation, Project Blue Book, concluded it was likely the Pegasus 2 satellite, but McDivitt was adamant. He knew what the Pegasus satellite looked like, and this was not it. He called it a real UFO. To this day, the photos are inconclusive, but the testimony of a trained astronaut commander like McDivitt is powerful evidence. The stories don't stop there. During the Gemini 7 mission, astronauts Frank Borman and James Lovell reported seeing a bogey, a term for an unidentified craft, at their 10 o'clock position. Borman described seeing what looked like the command module, but he knew theirs was the only one in space. Mission Control couldn't explain it, and the object eventually disappeared. Even the Russians have their stories. Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Kovalyonok, while aboard the Salyut 6 space station in 1981, observed an elliptical object that was flying parallel to the station. He watched as it suddenly underwent a transformation. He described it as contracting and then expanding into a golden sphere, then becoming smaller and turning into 2 interconnected spheres before disappearing in a puff of smoke. His fellow cosmonaut, Viktor Savinykh, prepared to take photographs, but the object vanished before he could. Kovalyonok reported this incredible event to ground control, emphasizing that what he saw was not a physical hallucination, but a real, transformative object. Let's not forget Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth person to walk on the moon during the Apollo 14 mission. After his time with NASA, Mitchell became one of the most outspoken proponents of the idea that we are not alone. He claimed that he was aware of many UFO visits to Earth during his career, and that these have been covered up by governments for decades. He stated that military and intelligence community members who were in a position to know confided in him that the reality of alien contact is real. While he didn't personally see a UFO during his mission, his assertions come from a place of deep access and experience within the highest echelons of the aerospace community. He believed that the famous Roswell incident was real, and that the truth is being slowly but surely disclosed. More recently, we have testimony from astronauts who flew on the space shuttle. Dr. Story Musgrave, a veteran of 6 shuttle missions, has spoken about seeing things that were inexplicable. He once described seeing a long, snake-like object in orbit, which he couldn't identify. While he's open to the possibility of it being space debris, its form and movement were unlike anything he'd seen before. Perhaps one of the most famous pieces of visual evidence comes from the STS-48 mission of the Space Shuttle Discovery in 1991. The shuttle's camera captured a fascinating sequence of events. In the footage, we see several small objects, or lights, moving across the screen. Suddenly, a flash of light appears on the horizon, and one of the objects makes an abrupt, right-angled turn to shoot off into deep space at an incredible velocity. Skeptics argue it's just ice particles reacting to the shuttle's thruster firings. However, many analysts, including some scientists, argue that the object's trajectory and sudden acceleration defy that explanation. The movement appears intelligent, almost evasive. It seems to react to the flash of light. Could this be a shuttle thruster firing at an ice particle, or is it something else firing at an unidentified craft? The debate rages on, but the footage remains one of the most analyzed and debated pieces of UFO evidence ever captured. Another shuttle astronaut, Leroy Chiao, commander of the International Space Station, had his own sighting in 2005. While on a spacewalk with a Russian cosmonaut, he saw a line of 5 lights in formation fly past them. He described them as unusual and moving at a very high speed. He tried to rationalize it as perhaps lights from a fishing boat on Earth, but their altitude and speed seemed to make that explanation unlikely. He remains open-minded about what he saw, acknowledging that it was truly unidentified. So what does this all mean? We have decorated war heroes, test pilots, scientists, and moonwalkers, some of the most credible observers on or off the planet, all reporting phenomena that they cannot explain. These aren't blurry photos from a backyard camera. These are accounts from trained professionals operating in the unique environment of space. They consistently describe objects with flight characteristics that are far beyond our known technology: silent operation, incredible speeds, and instantaneous changes in direction. The common thread through many of these stories is the reluctance to report. Astronauts feared for their careers, their reputations. They didn't want to be labeled as crazy. Yet many, like Gordon Cooper and Edgar Mitchell, felt it was their duty to humanity to speak out later in life. They believed the public had a right to know that we are dealing with a phenomenon that is real and not of this Earth. When you look at the sheer volume and consistency of these reports, from the Mercury program all the way to the International Space Station, it paints a fascinating picture. It suggests that whatever these objects are, they have been observing us for a very long time. Are they probes? Manned craft? Something else entirely? We don't have the answers yet. But the testimony of these space pioneers tells us that the question isn't, do UFOs exist? The real question is, what are they, and what are their intentions? The evidence from those who have ventured into the final frontier strongly suggests that we have company. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into astronaut UFO sightings. What do you think? Are these sightings definitive proof? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this exploration of the unknown, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to UFO Evidence and turn on notifications so you never miss another journey into the mysteries of our universe. We'll see you in the next video.